How would you like some easy tips based on science? And the science is on how to be more productive, creative, or even happier. The nonprofit Character Lab released an easy tip of the week every week that aims to do just that. Their goal is to build strength like gratitude and honesty, and they range from everything like embracing the so-called IKEA effect to talking to yourself. And believe it or not, that's apparently not a bad thing. They're all aimed at helping families thrive. Angela Duckworth is the founder and CEO of Character Lab and author of the best-selling book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. She's also a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, and she's here in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. So let's talk about this. You say it's important for us to talk to ourselves. Why?
Sounds crazy, right?
Well, I love that, Angela, because I talk to myself all the time. And I think
it's like inner monologue.
Yes, an inner monologue about almost everything that I do, and I've often wondered if that's common or uncommon.
You are a human. All people talk to themselves, whether our lips are moving or not. We have this ongoing inner monologue, and sometimes that inner monologue says things like, "Oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I messed that up," or "Nobody likes me." That kind of self-talk, sometimes called chatter, is really unhelpful. And if you think about kids, one of the things that we can help kids do is learn how to master self-talk. In other words, what are ways that we can talk to ourselves more productively? So that silent monologue could say things, and here's this trick that I don't think most parents are going to figure out for themselves. Research shows that if I say, instead of, "Oh, I'm terrible, I'm having a bad day," I say in the kind of talking to myself as if I am a friend, Angela, this is a bad day. Angela, what is there something that you could do that would make this day better? In other words, you change the self-talk, and in fact, in a way, you kind of use the second person. You say to yourself, like, Angela, you're having a bad day, instead of, "Oh, I'm having a bad day."
Well, because no, I was going to say, the reason that I think that's really interesting is because you also talk about venting, and I have that inner monologue when I'm about to vent or about to get on a soapbox about something. I say to myself, what would this do? There's the philosophy of the Stoics, which says that, you're expending energy on something that is not productive. Venting is not productive.
So here's again where science, I think, is the big leap forward. The way that we were raised by our parents, who I sure did their best job. I think one major change is that we now have science that says, for example, the intuition that many parents have that venting is a good thing. Science now shows it's not a good thing. When I come out to a friend and I just let it all go, my anger just gets actually bigger, not smaller. In other words, venting doesn't, cure your bad moods. It actually tends to feed them.
So you have this thing called the IKEA effect. What is that?
And all of the research on Character Lab is done by really, truly world-class scientists. Actually, most of it not by me, because I'm not a specialist in everything. The IKEA effect is done by researchers, including Mike Norton at Harvard, that shows that if a child or an adult puts effort into something, so, you're building your own stool or coffee table from IKEA, and I actually experienced this myself, building a little stool. My husband came home, and I was like, "This is a masterpiece." And he was like, the stool? And I was like, "Yeah, isn't it beautiful? Look at the lines. It's great. I'm going to love sitting in this stool." Now, he didn't feel the same way because he hadn't put the effort into the building of it. And I think in the time of screens that, you were just talking about, and the time of, like, one-click shopping and convenience where kids have more and more done for them, to harness the IKEA effect, the question is, can they make their own breakfast? Can they make their own handmade card to give to somebody for a birthday? That actually makes people value the product much more than if it were given to them.
I'm hoping you can touch on the danger of small lies, but before you do that, with venting, if you don't vent, what do you do when you have, you feel like a volcano with frustration coming out of your head?
Yeah, and I do want to say that children and adults, we do need to feel seen and heard. So if you are having a bad day, it's not the worst thing in the world to express yourself, but really just letting it spin out and kind of, getting into a spiral of, more and more emotion going, who knows where it's going to go. I think that one thing that all psychologists psychologists would agree on, is that what we need in those moments of emotion is some perspective. So one thing you can do is choose the right person to talk to, somebody who's going to not just like feed your fire and, but actually say, that's really important that you feel that way. What I hear you saying is this, but then also, the kind of person, and we have these people in our lives who are like, yeah, that person's calm. They have perspective when things are going out of control. So that's like one practical thing. Yes, talk to people, but maybe talk to the people who are going to help broaden your perspective as opposed to like suck you in so that, everything gets magnified.
All right, that's good advice. I'm going to use that.
You don't strike me as a venter.
I'm not a venter.
I don't know whether there's a lot of venting.
Vent to me, and this is actually like, the perspective component. I sometimes will be like, it could be worse. And she's like, I don't need to hear that. And I'm like, well, but it could.
That's how I respond
it could be worse.
Tony. I'm just saying.
All right, Angela Duckworth, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.